It's not entertaining to me if I tell you, oh my God, I went to St. Mary's College and all 25 students were in tears and stood up and shook my hand on the way out and said, Gary, you're like Gandhi, you changed my life. That's talk about narcissistic.
And you've heard me in some of my interviews over the years express this point. And I'll end this with just one final point. The reason I say hypocrites, and it's true, not that anybody here is challenging that, but just so you understand how to explain it best. And yes, a lot of frustration after 29 years. Seen a lot. Spoke to 60,000 people face to face in my lecture tour. I saw it all. And as I say this, the majority of my talks were wonderful. The stats that I got over the years were I was averaging 200 lectures every year, and only 15 turned into a Jerry Springer show, which is a hell of a ratio, 185 great talks. Even though people look up to me, I appreciate that. I lost it a lot on people. I never started it, but I finished it. I always finished it, and I had some crazy, crazy scenes that you guys would just flip out about if you want to hear some stories.
Well, I actually want to specifically get into what you think about everything that we just talked about, everything I just presented, and all those points in the...
Honestly, it makes me really proud. It makes me know that people were listening. When I was out there doing this, they were clamoring to bring me in. There were times I had to turn down lectures because I couldn't make it fit into my schedule. So one year I did 263 lectures. If I could physically get from point A to point B, I would do it. I get 5, 6, 7 talks in one day. I'm talking 60 to 75-minute lectures. Start at 7:30 for the first class, finish at 8 o'clock, jump in the car and drive 7 hours from New York to Akron because I got an 8 o'clock class in the morning. Sleep on the side of the road for 15 minutes because my head was bobbing. I had the 3 head bob rule, and the third one, okay, pull over, sleep for 15, okay, go. If I could get there, I would get there. So, yeah, I kind of forgot my point.
No,
What was the second? I was a man of action. I wanted to do something, and I figured it out as I was going along. Now, you hear about all the success stories, you see all the speeches out there.
The point about focusing on the exploitation, all the subjugation, all the oppression, the white supremacy.
I think I know what I want to say before I forgot was, when I was talking to Oliver yesterday, he said something, and it didn't click until after. He said that we took your speech to the streets. It's funny because when I was on the streets in the 90s, I took my street protest to the classroom. I did the opposite, but so it's the exact same thing. And I wasn't doing a cube of truth. We didn't have, TV set show and stuff. I had a bullhorn and people are going to the circus and I got 10 seconds. I'm like, they're beating elephants in the circus, please don't go to the circus. Hey, God, they're beating these elephants in the circus. And it's like, damn, if I only had more time.
And then I got into the classroom like, well, I got 60 minutes now, and you saw the result of that.
I ran the gamut of activism, keep in mind, I tried everything. I did it all. Banned from 5 countries.
And it never seems to get them shut down.
And by the way, there's a term, I don't know if you noticed in my speeches, I never use the phrase factory farms. Yeah, there's a lot of people in this movement hating on me. In fact, I was doing that. I was in Frankfurt last few weeks. I did the sanctuary speech, the fundraiser that a lot of people I think saw. And I started watching some of my old clips. And people misread me all the time. They think I'm a narcissist, like I'm at home watching all my shit. I put it on and I'm watching it going, wait, what? What did I say? What the fuck? Okay, I know why people follow me. That's pretty tight. I don't remember any of this. I didn't remember 95% of the speech. And I yell out, Erica, you remember when I said this? She goes, Gary, I remember it all. You're the one that doesn't remember.
So I was watching a bunch of stuff, and I was blown away. I'm like, man, I came up with some good stuff back in the day.
And by 2000, I said, I will never attend another animal rights conference again, and I have not. 13 arrests in the late 90s, and if you followed the news in Michigan, you knew who I was because I was always in the news. There's going to be 800 students. We're going to bring them down to the auditorium, and you can have 60 minutes. I'm like, okay, great. I didn't even prepare anything. And as I finished, I'm standing up there, and they stood up and gave me a standing ovation. Not saying this to brag, confused. 45 students that day kept me after school for 4.5 hours. I had to end it. I looked at that. They were begging, thirsting for more. Tell me more, tell me more. A month later, I got a letter from the school saying, Mr. Yourofsky, we did a survey amongst the 800 students, and 100 of them said they were becoming vegan. That's a hell of a ratio for 60 minutes, 100 out of 800? You got to be kidding me. In fact, Kent High School was so good to me over the years, I'm not sure if you know this, they would let me call in and they would make announcements over the PA for my protest coming up. Gary's doing a protest at Dietrich Ferd on Friday from 4 o'clock till 6 o'clock, you guys should head out there. And then I got a call from a professor at Oakland University. He invites me in, I go in with nothing prepared again, extemporaneous, and same thing, standing ovation. And I'm like, so then I started sending out mass emails to professors all over the country asking, can I speak in their class? You know, in my 2-paragraph, I'm a man that gets right to the point when I want something like that. You know what I got back was, we've never met anybody so open and willing to talk about everything they believe in. You're a real activist. We only read about them. We've never actually met one. That sounds great. And I got into this is why I got mad at the movement for not supporting me. These professors keep bringing me in. I don't understand the people that hate me. And the biggest irony is, do you know the majority of the people that hate me? Guess who fucking opened up their mind and made them vegan? Right here. I was told that all the people in Frankfurt that were trying to get me kicked out of the fundraiser, they're all Gary vegans. You got to be kidding me. The guy that showed you the light. You know how many speeches I've given, how many interviews? I probably said 1 million words in my lifetime of activism. So you don't like 5,000 of them? And the biggest irony is, I don't understand that people can't take criticism. What am I arguing about? You're right.
I would say that
I can be a little dramatic.
And I also...
Paul is my interpreter.
So do you think that by using these guidelines, it essentially, do you get a feeling that this could help you with your outreach?
Absolutely. Those are great advice, man. It's like you tightened up all the things that I was talking about over the years. The victim's point of view, that was the highlight of my speech too. When I came up with that section, I'm like, this is gonna get them. And I think it did, because look what it did around the world. And do I have regrets? Yeah, I don't think I was perfect by any stretch. I wish I would have taken out health and the environment. every semester I wanted to. And then I tell the professor, by the way, upcoming, there's going to be no, and they would, Gary, you have to do the health section. We've done surveys. That's their #1 favorite section. And then it's ethics. So the health gets them intrigued. And then you hit them with the ethics. I'm like, oh man, I caved to that. But listen, I still got people to become vegan. There was a restaurant in New York City called Candle Cafe. I used to go there every day when I was in New York. And I knew the owners. So if you notice my speech too, as I beat them down, see, I could see the students like, no more, no. And I take them right to the fucking edge of the cliff and I say, and you guys, they're laughing and giggling because I knew hens didn't have periods, but I came up with it. It was kind of funny. And I ran by a few people that were laughing. Like, I'm going to use this as funny shit. 2,660 lectures, 60,000 people. Well, listen, you guys don't have 60 minutes. I was always invited back to the school nearly 100% of the time. In fact, University of Central Florida, one of my main stomping grounds, I believe I had about 10 professors bringing me in every semester. So you're vegan? I'm like, okay, you can go. I had a student at UCF, actually Central Florida, came back the following year, heard me again, asked me to speak in the class. He goes, you remember me? I said, yeah, I remember you. Believe it or not, I had supersonic hearing when I walked into a classroom. I don't care how big the room was. I had some big lecture rooms, 450 students. Like, you know what? I'm going to get you. I'm going to get you. Because I laid it out, right? It was there. Because to me, if you heard my speech and you didn't get it, you were just an asshole. The speech came out of my head. It was like I was answering every question I knew they would have, which is something I also got from students. Did you know that as your speech went on, I had questions, I was even writing them down, and I was scratching them out. You answered every, yeah, I know. I know everything you're thinking, everything. I don't know why people are so afraid to look in the mirror and say, I messed up. Man, you're sitting there walking around, and I love animals. No, I love dogs, I love cats, I like squirrels, I like the bunny rabbits, I like the penguins. You know, by the way, all the animals that people say they love are animals that we actually don't really exploit. It's easy to say you love penguins. Who the fuck eats penguins?
Cats and dogs.
Well, penguins do get it. I get it, but for the most part, I messed up. I love it because, again, it's you're mimicking things that I did. I would never tell a student during Q&A, that's a good question. And mind you, I spoke at some major universities, Penn State, University of Michigan, I was at Harvard, never had a good question. Now, if you've seen me over the years, you know how quick my answers are, right? I got 25 answers depending on how you ask me, from sarcastic to truthful. But again, the professors, and 90% of my professors were not vegans. They were meat eaters, believe it or not. Believe it or not, the animal agriculture professors at Ohio State brought me in 6 to 8 times a year, 300 students, factory farming students. I went and spoke where people were afraid to speak. My friends go, you spoke to animal ag students? Well, yeah. Like, I would speak at a slaughterhouse if they brought me in. I went to rural North Carolina and spoke to hunters. I had hunters coming up to me, ripping up their hunting licenses. Just in camouflage, came in and laughed. They're religious people. I know they're a tough crowd. Man, some of my best talks happened at religious colleges. Valley Forge Christian College, one of my favorite moments too. Religious people are tough. I had this class. I was winning them. And by the way, when I walked into a classroom, I always knew who was good and who was bad. So I had this psychological power of like, good, bad, on the fence, good, bad, good. I was 99% right all the time. So it was a great lecture. We get to the Q&A, and now they start playing the scriptural game, which I can play. Because over the years, I became an expert in the Bible too. So we do this. So every time I said something, I got everybody, and then somebody else said something, I lost them. So I'm getting a little perturbed. So you guys know I can be dramatic. So I stand up there like this, head down, silence. I'm waiting for them to shut the fuck up. I hear them whispering too. What's he doing? What's he doing up there? 45 seconds, I'm like this. And in my head, I'm coming up with something. I don't know how I'm finishing it. I just know that I'm going to finish in the right spot. So I came up with, I'm going to say every horrible thing that we do to animals I can think of. And I'm going to preface each one with, if God says it's okay. If God says it's okay. And I'm getting louder and louder. 3 minutes. I ran down every horrible thing. If God says it's okay, then what does the devil do? And as I said it, I was like, man, that's some tight shit. Don't forget that. And the crowd was like, oh my God. And the Reverend Dr. Bruce Marino, who always brought me in, he's in the back of the room. And he actually was like, everybody, give Gary a round of applause. And Valley Forge Christian College was one of my main stomping grounds for many years. And my last year I was there, Dr. Marino says, Gary, before you leave class, he always walked me out to my car. He said, let's stop at the cafeteria for a second. I said, Bruce, don't instigate me. He goes, no, you got to come down there. I said, really? He said, just come on down. So he walks me into the cafeteria. It's a huge salad bar. And he goes, that's you. He goes, see those 3 vegan items on the menu? That's you. These kids are demanding it now. You're getting through. And it's nice to see that, hear that over the years. It was some major success. And the stat that I got from the professors, they always did surveys, was you convert around 20% of my students every time you speak. And keep in mind the topic that I'm dealing with, the 60-minute time limit, 20%. Now, there were many classes. When people did come and hang out with me once in a while, Erica was with me for several years on the road. She's like, Gary, you're in the 50, 60% range. This is crazy. I'm watching them. I see them come up to you. I would think it was higher. I mean, there were classes I converted completely. I remember I'm sorry, I'm telling stories. St. Mary's College.
My God, I went to St. Mary's College, and all 25 students were in tears and stood up and shook my hand on the way out and said, Gary, you're like Gandhi, you changed my life.
First talk I ever gave without notes.
That's talk about narcissistic.
To this day, it was the best talk I ever gave. All 25 students went vegan. I know this for a fact, because those students kept in touch with Alex over the years, who kept in touch with me, said, Gary, you know those students still email me 7 years later and say that was the day their life changed. When I did those philosophy classes, a big philosophy, a lot of philosophy classes over the years, they always thought I studied philosophy, which was weird. I'm like, I don't study philosophy, never have. What, you used Bentham and you went to Socrates, and I said, well, if I went there, it was because I just spoke from here. I never really studied them at all. Be a contrarian. That was always my philosophy. Whatever everybody's doing, I'm going to do the opposite. I was always right with that.
All right, I think we should now move into some marriage examples, but isn't this cool?
I can tell you the crazy stories.
Vanity. Definitely my favorite sin.